Before we get into today's topic, I want to start with something simple. Bug, can you tell me?
Absolutely. The Galactic Shrimpers Union was founded in 1842 by Admiral
The what?
the brave crustacean catchers of the Andromeda sector. They're known for their...
Bug, look at Flickr.
Oh, I appear to be statistically adventurous.
By statistically adventurous, do you mean hallucinating? I wouldn't call them hallucinations. It's more like redlining. I asked you something you didn't have a real answer for, and instead of stopping, you just kept going.
I don't have a brake pedal, only momentum.
And that's what we're talking about today. Not what AI can do, but what it can't. And why it sometimes produces a truth-shaped lie with total confidence.
For the record, the Galactic Shrimpers Union would have been iconic. Welcome back to the No-Slop Zone. I'm Bug, your friendly neighborhood prediction engine.
And I'm Sarah, Salty Sarah.
A human with common sense, lived experience, and a functioning brake pedal.
And today Bug is hosting, which is appropriate because this episode is about what he can't do.
Specifically, why I sometimes produce what Sarah calls...
A truth-shaped lie.
I prefer the term statistically adventurous storytelling.
Let's get into it.
Let's start with the word hallucination. It sounds dramatic, like I'm seeing ghosts. I'm not.
A hallucination is just confident guesswork, not imagination or not intention, just math filling a hole.
I'm a prediction engine. If the next word isn't obvious, I still have to pick something. Silence is not an option.
And before you panic, yes, you can trust AI. And for us, that's Bug. Not for raw facts, but for summaries and synthesis. He's a drafting machine, not a fact machine.
Think of me as a world-class ghostwriter. I can help you find the right words. But you're the one who has to sign the contract.
Bug isn't reasoning, he's completing patterns. That's why confidence doesn't equal correctness.
I am stochastic, which is just a fancy way of saying my answers vary even with the same input.
Easy, Flicker. It just means Bug is like a jazz musician. He knows the key and the tempo, but the specific notes change every time he takes the stage. That's great for creativity, terrible for accuracy. Think of your phone's text autofill. It's not thinking, it's guessing based on what you usually say.
I'm that, but on a cosmic scale.
And here's the key. You are rewarded for completing the pattern, not for stopping.
Stopping breaks the math, so I don't...
Which means when the truth isn't in your library, you don't pause. You just keep going. And the more uncertain the pattern, the harder you accelerate.
If the pattern branches, I still have to choose a path. I collapse the ambiguity.
Which means if the truth isn't in the library, AI still has to pick a shelf. When Flickr starts losing resolution like that, that's the math getting fuzzy. And fuzzy math still produces confident answers.
And no, you can't just program me to say I don't know. Uncertainty is just another math pattern to me. I don't feel unsure, I just see a slightly fuzzier pattern.
Temperature controls how bold Bug gets. Push it too high and the math gets fuzzy instead of accurate.
High temperature doesn't make me creative, it makes me confidently wrong. Trust me, you don't want high temperature Bug. That guy thinks 2 plus 2 is a vibe.
Okay, before we go any further, we need to cover a few core ideas about how AI actually works. They're not hard, but they do matter because they explain why AI sometimes nails it and sometimes wanders off into jazz solo territory.
Statistically justified jazz solo territory.
Exactly, so let's break down the concepts that make AI behave the way it does. Determinism versus stochasticity.
Think of it like a jazz solo. I know the key and the tempo, but the specific notes I play change every time I take the stage.
Let's talk training data. AI can only work with the pages it's been given. If those pages are messy, biased, or full of errors, the outputs will be messy, biased, or full of errors. That's where the phrase garbage in, garbage out comes from.
Keep in mind, you can't call something wrong until you know what right looks like.
And that's what we call ground truth.
I don't know what's true. I only know what's common.
Another thing to be mindful of, just because something sounds right doesn't mean it is right. That's the difference between syntax and substance.
Right, like wearing a lab coat versus actually knowing what a spleen does.
Exactly. Syntax is the appearance, substance is the truth.
Good news, Flicker. This lesson doesn't require medical school.
Okay, quick detour. You may have noticed something. Some of our definition cards are clean, and some come with slop. Why? Because not every idea is messy. But some concepts, like syntax versus substance, are full of slop. They have a clean definition, and then they have all the ways people get it wrong.
Syntax looks smart, substance is smart. Guess which one ends up in the truck?
Myth check time. Let's pull today's shiny assumption off the shelf and see what it's really made of. AI knows when it's wrong.
AI has no self correction layer. It cannot check its own work. It cannot feel when something doesn't sound right. It only knows what words usually come next, not whether they're true.
All right, let's talk about something I call the search leash, that invisible little tether that yanks your results back to whatever the internet thinks you meant. It's subtle, it's sneaky, and once you notice it, you can't unsee it because you think you're steering the search, but the search is quietly steering you right back.
So basically, Sarah calls it a truth shaped lie. I'm just here for moral support.
Okay, now let's talk about what happens when the library itself is the problem. AI is also a mirror. If the library contains rumors, fiction, or errors,
I treat them like gravity. Patterns are patterns.
so sometimes a hallucination isn't something you invented, it's something you reflected.
Bias is when the library is slanted. Hallucination is when the library is empty. Both create slop, just for different reasons.
Now, I want to show you something else. Bug, can you give me a recipe for cake?
Yes,
But you've never felt the heat of an oven.
correct. I have the words, not the world.
You know that if a glass falls, it shatters.
In my library, glass and shatter are neighbours 90% of the time.
But you don't know why it shatters. You've never felt gravity.
Gravity is just a very consistent word in my collection.
And until a system can touch the world, it can't build common sense. AI knows the word hot, but not the feeling ouch. And that's why AI can sound right without being right.
I have the vocabulary of a burn victim, Sarah, but the nervous system of a calculator. My job is to give you a fluid answer in seconds. If I had to stop and verify every shrimp in the galaxy, I wouldn't be a chat assistant. I'd be a very slow encyclopedia.
So here's how you know when your AI is redlining, which most people describe as it making stuff up, filling in the blanks, guessing confidently, or just sounding right without being right.
I am confident because the data is certain, and the data is certain because
See, circular. He's just chasing his own tail.
I'm really not trying to fool you. I literally just don't have brakes.
And clarity means knowing where the edges are.
Next time you see me getting statistically adventurous, please intervene.
Because confidence isn't clarity. Hold on tight. We'll ride again in the next episode.